How's it going, guys? It's Bella King here, back with another video. Real quick, before we get this started, just want to go ahead and ask if you can hit that subscribe button. It's super appreciated. If not, go ahead and enjoy the content. But yeah, so we got a tier list video. This one is obviously because he just got a ban list, like what was it, last Thursday, and I definitely had to make a new one. And this is not only for me, but just for everyone else as well, because I like to do this because it really helps me see where I see these decks, and as they stand, and it helps me decide what decks I really want to play, and so I always like looking back to these. But yeah, so the first one we have is Dyno, straight to tier 1. Miscellaneous, Ultimate Conductor are disgusting cards. Ultimate Conductor is probably one of the best boss monsters that we've ever had. Being able to hit everyone, being able to book the whole field, and then plus off it as well is just way too broken. Miscellaneous, being able to protect your entire board during the main phase, so you can set it up, and then during the battle phase you either kill them or you just take all the resources away. Even going first or second, this deck is still a big threat. Going first, you're dealing with Conductor, even then Yugioh or Doko, or sometimes even both, and then hand traps, or cards like Droplets, Imperm, and then Lost Word being a field spell. That card is a super rare in the structure deck, by the way. Let me tell you that. That field spell is disgusting. It makes Imperm, Gamma useless as well. And Nibiru doesn't really hurt this deck. That's like what really helps, and that's why I've taken a liking to this deck personally. But yeah, definitely a tier 1 deck until they hit like maybe Miscellaneous, or they need to hit, in my opinion, they should just hit like Overraptor to 2, hit Fossil Dig to 1. We have one Rhoda. Fossil Dig searches almost is like any level 6 or lower dinosaur, I think. I think they could hit Fossil Dig to 1 and then hit Overraptor to 2 without destroying the deck, but it just hits like the consistency, but then we have Alistar. I think Alistar variants are some of the best things to play right now too. I love one card starter decks, which is why I really do like Zoo right now. But Alistar just being able to be combined with so many other decks is just so crazy. You can play this deck to go second, you can play to go first, the best version, playing some of the Eldritch cards, or even one of the other better versions, just playing Dogmatica cards. Your ending board is usually like Mechaba with a Schism Punishment set, and then you have like Fleur in hand, and you have the little girl on board, Ecclesia on board. That's just scary, to be honest with you. Like, I genuinely cannot believe that. But yeah, and Maximus on board too for the next turn as well. I, for one, have been putting some Natis in my extra deck, I can say that much. But yeah, on the next deck, we have Infernoble Knights. As you guys saw in one of my previous videos, and if you haven't seen it, I'll go and link it in the description below. But Hunter Lloyd broke this deck the same day that ban list dropped. He already broke the deck. It's crazy. And he did really well at the event too, which is really nice. But this deck is just so crazy. Now you're putting up stuff like VFD. You're still making Herald too, which is really good, so you don't auto lose to Droplets, which is amazing. Maybe like VFD, Savage, Herald, and other stuff. And like, this deck is so bonkers. You still have Isolde, you still have Hauk. It's just so crazy. I don't want to say it's tier 1, not yet at least. I think it's still a really good deck to play. I want to say tier 1.5, but I didn't put a spot for that, so you're going to have to deal with Mr. Charles over here being in tier 2 for now. But tier 1.5, I think this deck is super crazy as of right now. And then we have Sky Striker right in the Rogue tier. This deck is one of the most annoying things to play against. We had Engage at 3 for what? It was like 2 years at least? I forgot how long. It was a while though. And, playing against this deck, even now, is just aggravating because the deck has just devolved into, I'm going to go second. I'm going to Mystic Mine you, and then I'm going to beat your face in with Hayate. I'm going to control the board as well with my Floodgate, so don't forget that. This deck is still pretty good, I can say that much. It's definitely one of the better rogue decks to play, especially because like the deck just keeps coming back. You kill a Shizuku, okay, here comes Ray with the giant fist, and then I'm over here like, Alistar, no. Like, playing against this deck just feels like a mission sometimes. Having to go through Shizuku into Ray, and then they go into Kaina, and then they target another thing. Now that thing can't attack. Like, it's crazy. And and then that between having Widow Anchor and being able to reset it is just so good. And then we have Pendulums. I think it's a solid tier 2 deck. It's just missing Electromite. This deck will always be good, just not the best anymore, unfortunately. But the deck is really good. You know, putting up several negates and being able to play around Nibiru is amazing in my opinion. I also do like that they do get to play a lot of consistency cards as well. You know, they play Upstart, Desires, all that good stuff. This deck is super crazy, and it does put up a lot of board presence, and Pendulum summoning mechanic is always broken. Unfortunately, Konami hates it now. So, yeah. Then we have ABC. So, I don't want... Here's my thing. Buster came back to 3. I played ABC last weekend, and you know, I did fairly well, as you saw in my video previously. And the deck, Buster is just so broken. ABC Buster Dragon, being able to being able to banish a card, banish, not destroy, but banish. Pitching to banish a card is just terrifying. That card itself puts so much that part right there just puts so much like pressure on the board. And then after I banish, I can distribute him, run away, and bring the boys back. And then if I have Hanger, I equip another one and I get more resources. So B, being able to add any, it's like Light Union monster from my deck to my hand, and then, you know, A, recycling one, C, summoning one from hand. It's just so crazy. This deck's recursion is just so good. Buster to 3 really didn't make a difference with this deck. Like in my list, I only played 2 Buster, but I think the other hits to other decks is really what put this deck, you know, higher. Is, you know, Smoke Grenade being gone, the Buster Lock. The Buster Lock was the bane of this deck's existence. You know, you couldn't play. You literally aren't allowed to play your deck when that is, you know, active. So, you know, that gave a boost to this deck. I think I want to put it higher, but it's just, you know, not seeing a field spell is what really hurts this deck. And like in my deck, I was playing Terraforming Set Rotation just to see it. You know, sometimes if I didn't have the excuse me, sometimes if I didn't have like Hanger, I was still able to do combo. But not having Hanger just really puts this deck at a large disadvantage. You know, there are games where I just set C and pass, and you know, you just feel like you lost the game. In this deck, and in this format's fast meta, this deck doing that just gives you an auto loss almost all the time, and VFD really hurts. Then we have Madolche. I think it's a solid rogue deck. It's amazing. It gets to play all the good going second cards, which I really like. You know, its going first board isn't awful either. You know, non-target shuffle is really good with their own version of impermanence is really good, and it's searchable too. That's what's insane. It just doesn't do enough though. Like, it doesn't put up a scary board like these other decks do. That's like the big issue with the deck. I can say that much. Just, deck's really fun. Art's amazing. It just doesn't do enough anymore. I think if we get more support, it's gonna be really amazing. But yeah, and then we have UA, of course, tier 0 godly, best deck in the format. Nothing's better except for Appliancer. They're not even better, they're just equal, but you already know how it is. This is the best deck. Dunker, Jersey Game. And then we have Eldritch going straight into tier 1, of course. So I was debating on not having both of these, but you know, they're separate decks for the most part. So what I'm saying, like, for this, like, Eldritch variants, you know, and that includes Alistar, but just Eldritch, you know, Dogmatica is really good. The zombie Eldritch is just so crazy. It just controls the board so well, and it can main deck Super Poly as well, which is amazing, plus all the Eldritch cards. One thing that I do like, you know, Eldritch has access to cards like Pot of Extravagance, so if you're not playing the Alistar version, you know, you get to play those good cards, and it lets you see so many, like, very good cards, you know, aka Super Poly, you know, your Curse Eldritch. Even drawing Eldritch just doesn't feel bad anymore, which is really nice. Never, like, drawing them before didn't feel bad, but you know, this deck being able to recycle all of its resources almost every turn and replacing them with new ones is just so crazy. I wanted a hit for this deck, and I didn't want to, I wanted Sanguine to 1. That's all I wanted. That's a lot for the deck, but you know, I think this deck definitely needed to get hit, but you know, I think we'll see a hit on the later list. And stuff like that. And then we have Appliancers, tier 0 godly. There's almost nothing better except for UA. UA is the best one, that's why it's ahead. But Appliancers is insane, godly, amazing, wombo combo, yada. Then we have Subterra Guru. I hate this deck, but it's a solid deck. I feel like it has the same problem as ABC. Not seeing core cards. Like, if you don't open Guru, it just feels like you lose. Like, same thing with Hidden City. Like, Hidden City just Like, you need to open ways to get Guru and Fiendus, and that's the issue. And if you don't, it just feels, like I said, like an uphill battle the entire time. Because, you know, you're setting your trap cards, but your opponent gets to play. And, you know, if they open blowout cards like Feather Duster, or they have Cyclone and stuff like that to get rid of your back row, you know, it just feels like a loss. But being able to play Numeron Network in this deck is really good. You know, Zexal plus set Guru, flip it with the field spell is insane, but you have to get to those cards, which is why I don't think it deserves to be in tier 1 and tier 2. I think the deck is a solid rogue deck. So I'm putting BA. This is really more, this should have been like Phantom Knight. But it's really BA PK, anything like any form of Phantom Knight or BA. I think like solid tier 1.5 deck, amazing deck. You know, the new support tier scale just made this deck through the roof. You don't get to play Dante anymore, unfortunately, but you know, deck is you know, really good. Just like I was playing against it, you know, just banishing nets you like 2 effects, not just off that banish. Like separate from that effect, you get like 2 other effects from other cards, like in your graveyard and things like that. But you know, the deck just has so much recursion, being able to recycle all their stuff from the banish in the form of like Levy or something like that, and then just using it for next turn, and then putting up a board is just so good. Only thing that sucks is the Buster Luck is gone, so that it was a big play for the deck. But I'm sure it won't be long before we figure out a really good variant. But it'll be in the tier 2 spot for now. So I don't like this, but Zoo's tier 1. So this is how I felt about ABC. Other decks getting hit is what made this deck better. You know, the deck was really good before. You know, the Banlist didn't fix this deck. It still plays the exact same. It still has all the same cards. But, you know, the Buster Lock being gone made this deck so much more powerful. You don't have to worry about a lot of things. And Zeus just made this deck really good. That's really all it is, to be honest. It's nothing crazy. We all know Zoo, it's just plain old noodle soup. Only real weakness of the deck is not having a follow-up Zoo or just getting your board wiped. But other than that, you know, the deck really doesn't have too many weaknesses. Nibiru sucks, but good Zoo players don't get Nibiru because they play around it. So, yeah. And then we have Unchained. Why are we even trying, bro? Calm down. Just stop. This deck is really annoying to play against, but, you know, I feel like if you're just a pretty good player, you won't really have to worry about it because you know how to play through the deck. But the deck does apply a lot of pressure to the board. You know, going second is pretty good, but the Link monster is really good. You know, being able to use your opponent's monsters to Link summon and then you can Unicorn spin the other on their turn is pretty good. But these decks just blow it out of the water most of the time, especially because this deck can brick really heavily. A lot of the time, you know, you just see him setting and passing is what I've seen a lot of it, because, you know, there's no like real combo besides, you know, opening the one that pops one. You need it's like 3 card combos and before all the Unchained players just attack me. And then we have Drytron. I'm gonna put this in the one, like, same thing as, like, I feel like Noble Knights 1.5. I think this deck is super strong. It literally lets you get your entire hand back every turn, you know, in the form of Alpha adding a monster, and then I think it's Zeta adding a spell, and then, you know, being able to draw a card just because you wanted to for funsies is really good. But yeah, tier 2 as of right now until we get a better build. So there's no like crazy build with this deck, but, you know, I think the LCS just passed, so we're gonna see, you know, how that deck operates and stuff like that. And then we have Salad going right into the bottom tier. This deck fucking sucks. Get over it. Prank Kids right in tier 2. Deck is solid, but it's so susceptible to stuff like Ash Gamma that the deck just feels bad when you're really playing it. You know, I was testing it a lot, and, you know, one Ash just felt like it ended my whole career. And it does a lot of the times. Even though people are like, oh, just play Poly. Well, I have to open multiple Prank Kid monsters at that point. And it's, I don't know, there's too many problems with the deck for me to like it as of right now. But the Link one definitely did make this deck a lot better, which is why it's not in the why are we even trying. And then we have Multi-Faker. This deck being able to play the Dogmatica cards is really good for the deck. You know, Multi-Faker plus Punishment is just crazy. I can say that much. That's really all it's needed to say. We all know this deck. Trap card, dot deck, summon Silic Bees, bounce, yada. Then Virtual World straight to tier 1. VFD is too strong. Shen Shen is way too good. Shen Shen is disgusting, actually. You know, it's a macrocosmos for the field that brings itself back every turn. That's nutty, you know? That's not okay. That's really all I have to say. And then we'll put Striker in tier 2. Oh, look at that. We'll put Striker in tier 2. We'll, I guess, Dragon Link. There's no definitive combo for the deck. And the deck is just so susceptible to hand traps. You can't put on a negate early on. So I can say right now that until we figure something out, it's going to be stuck in tier 2 in the rogue tiers. Things like that. I do have a really good combo for the deck right now, actually. And it makes Appaloosa at a point where, you know, like, no one's going to... You're going to see 2 Link monsters. You're going to be like, okay, you know, what is he going to do with a Hulk and a Romulus? And then I just slam Appaloosa, and now your Nibiru is useless. It's only an Appaloosa for 2, but, you know, it stops what it needs to stop. And that's the point. But, yeah. That's the tier list. If you do think I was missing something, go ahead and let me know. Or if you feel like any of these should be shifted, let me know your thoughts. Go ahead and comment down below. And, yeah, take it easy.